Yeah, so while you've been gone to Australia, a lot of things have happened, both in UK and US politics. Obviously, the UK, we've got a brand new political party, the Independent Group.
Yeah, that's a lame name.
A new way of doing politics, a third way, if you will, of doing politics, yeah. But in the US, obviously, Bernie Sanders is running for president.
Yeah, so basically what we've got is somebody moving away from the establishment centre in America and loads of people moving towards the establishment centre in the UK, which is quite impressive given that both major parties are already kind of in the establishment centre. They've achieved new depths of centrism.
Not the Labour Party, though.
Yeah, well, yeah. I mean, it's kind of the Labour Party. Obviously, Corbyn ruined it. If only this was back in, the yesteryears, that would have made more sense.
Yeah.
So now they're all terrorists supporting Jew hating.
Yeah. Do you think Bernie Sanders will win, by the way, Michael?
Yes.
There we go. That's our cold open. Done.
Great. Okay, good.
Back up, chump, Biggie Smalls rips it quick and kicks it quick. You know how black niggas get. With the hood fatigues, with the boots with trees. Whipping trees, making crazy trees. Hitting buckshots at niggas that open spots on the avenue. Take my loot and I'm bagging. Pimping hoes that drive Volvos and rodeos. Flash the roll, make a wet in they pantyhose. Damn, a nigga style is unorthodox. Grip the Glock when I walk down the crowded block. Just in case a nigga wanna act out, I just black out, blow the motherfucking back out. That's a real nigga for you.
Hello and welcome to Select and Reflect, the movie review podcast where we look at films that have come out relatively recently at the cinema and see if they still hold up upon a second watch. I'm your host Michael and I'm joined as always by my co-host Luke, and this week we are concluding our celebration of the Oscar season by looking at the Best Picture winner from last year, which was of course The Shape of Water.
Wow.
I was thinking of Call Me By Your Name.
Yeah.
I couldn't stop thinking about Call Me By Your Name. Tell you what, that Call Me By Your Name, that should have been the real Best Picture. Anyway.
Michael Stuhlbarg.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, he's in everything.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Anyway, so Luke, Jews in Hollywood, eh? Why don't you tell us a thing or two? Why don't you tell us a thing or two about The Shape of Water?
Certainly, Michael. So, The Shape of Water is a 2017 American romantic dark fantasy film directed by Guillermo del Toro. I hope I said that right. And written by Del Toro and Vanessa Taylor. It stars Sally Hawkins, Michael Shannon, Richard Jenkins, Doug Jones, Michael Stuhlbarg, and Octavia Spencer. It was released on December the 1st, 2017 in the United States. And Michael, do you want to have a guess at the budget?
Yeah, I suppose I do. I think it wouldn't have been that high. I'm going to go for... I always harken back to 50 Shades of Grey and how that was 39 million. This time I'm actually going to go for 40 million.
20
million. See, yeah, it's just... I just always think, every single time I'm like, well, surely there's going to be one film that, costs as much as that 50 Shades of Grey, which was literally just nothing. But nope.
Yeah, I was reading, by the way...
half the price.
I was reading, by the way, that Del Toro was thinking about doing the film in black and white, but the studio would have only given him $17 million if it had been shot in black and white.
Because then fewer people would want to go see it.
Yeah, exactly. So the box office, Michael, how much did it make? This is a Best Picture winner.
I don't think it made much. I think it made not much at all. Whatever. I mean, what I really don't want to do is guess too low, because then I'll feel like I'll be contradicting myself when I said I didn't think it would make much. I'm going to go for, I don't know, what, 70 million.
195 million.
Oh, okay, there we go. Yeah, wow. Well,
do you remember the discussion we had last year involving Moonlight?
I assume no. Basically
it was just how the box office basically for Moonlight and other Best Picture winners in recent times had been quite a bit lower than in the past, and Moonlight was the epitome of that. It made, I think, like $65 million at the box office. But again, this one didn't crack 200 million, but still a nice rebound up from last year.
Yeah, that isn't bad, actually. I guess so. I said 70 million, didn't I? So I was kind of guessing in Moonlight territory.
Yeah. Anyway, I'll just explain the plot first.
Yes.
So Shape of Water. It is set in Baltimore in 1962, and it follows the story of a mute cleaner called Eliza at a high-security, well, I don't know about that, government laboratory, who falls in love with a captured humanoid amphibian creature. And yeah, it's a story about love, Michael.
Yeah, it's a story about family, and that's what makes this so special.
Yeah, exactly. So, Michael, did you like The Shape of Water?
I found the film very confusing, and I didn't really know how to feel about it. I kind of just was like watching it, I was just like, and to be honest, I mean, I think I'm going to just say like, I'm going to say I didn't like it, but I didn't hate it. I didn't dislike it. I'm going to say I'll say it was good, but I wasn't like, yeah. What about you?
So, I think I'm on the same page as you, because I really, I try to watch movies twice. I just think it's good to, watch it back. And the second time I was going to watch it, I was like, oh, do I have to? And the thing is, like, I finished the first movie the first time, and I was like, oh, it's not that bad. And then the second time I was like, I don't really want to watch this. So I think I'm kind of on the same page as you. I wouldn't say I liked it, but, I've seen worse, basically.
Yeah, I've also got into watching movies twice ever since it all started that time when you really showed me up by watching Blade Runner twice, and I thought to myself, because the thing is, I used to watch the films twice because obviously it's important, and I think what happened is we had a string of films that I'd seen several times before we reviewed them, so it was like I just watched them once, and I kind of fell into habit, and I was like, you know what, no, I need to get back into watching films twice. So I watched I watched this film twice, and yeah, it was well, yeah. It wasn't bad, but I don't know. Yeah, it wasn't. Let's say it was not rewatchable.
Yeah, it is not rewatchable. Yeah. Anyway, Michael, no matter how much something isn't rewatchable, there's always nitpicks.
Yeah, I did have one nitpick.
I've got two.
Okay, so I go first.
Yes.
This one's a pretty good one. It's a pretty great one, Luke. So try not to go crazy. So when Michael Stuhlbarg is going to potentially inject the monster with cyanide or whatever, some kind of lethal thing, he squirts some liquid out of the syringe to obviously make sure there's no oxygen in the syringe. But the thing is, that's kind of unnecessary, because the whole reason you do that is because injecting oxygen into somebody is very dangerous. But if you're giving them something that's going to kill them, it doesn't really matter if there's oxygen in the syringe. It's kind of like
just natural.
It's kind of like if you sterilize the needle. I mean, let's be honest. For example, if you're going to ever use kind of like reuse needles, because they say you shouldn't reuse needles because of AIDS. But if you ever were going to reuse a needle, I think the best time to do that would be if you were to inject somebody with cyanide anyway.
Okay, but maybe...
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, it was almost certainly a force of habit. But you know what, Luke? I wanted to bring a nitpick to the table, and I thought, well, I mean, it's kind of impressive I noticed that, isn't it, Luke?
Yeah, no, I mean, I also noticed it, but, I just thought it didn't really matter that much. So
I bet some of the people watching at home, listening at home, gathered around with their families, I bet they didn't notice it, so you're welcome.
Well, you provided a very valuable service then.
What are your two nitpicks?
So my two nitpicks. Okay, so the first nitpick, I referenced it before while I was describing the plot. There is the security is very bad, Michael. The lack of security.
I dropped my microphone.
Oh my gosh.
I'll tell you what the problem is, okay? The cable is really long, so I'm going to put the cable on the desk because it was kind of hanging off, and I think if I put it on my desk, that'll solve all the problems. All right, talk about the security, Luke.
Well, there isn't much to talk about, Michael, because there is no security. At least that's what it seems. Like, the cleaners, Eliza, she can just wander into this super secret lab anytime she likes and, play music next to this fish monster. I mean, it's not like we're in, the 1920s. We're in the 1960s here, at the height of the Cold War.
I thought it was the 1950s this whole time.
Did you actually?
I actually did. When did they... Oh, wait, no. Because they sent a man into space, didn't they?
Yes.
Yeah, okay, yeah. I mean, I'm not going to lie, Luke, I did think it was the 1950s, but I only thought that because I hadn't thought about it. The minute I actually thought about it. Did they send a man into space in 1961?
I thought it was 59, actually. Not going to lie.
Oh, well, I don't know. We'll just pretend it's one.
There are doors that are constantly open to this secret lab.
Yeah, and also that's a fire hazard, Luke.
It is.
It does restrict the oxygen in the room.
It's the height of the Cold War. Yeah, like, imagine if Eliza was a Russian agent. You know, like I don't imagine they're that concerned about janitorial staff in terms of security checks. Like, it'll probably be much harder for Michael Stuhlbarg, who obviously is a Russian agent in this movie, to get in that facility than Eliza. So what's to stop, like, the Russians just having a janitorial, secret agent and just literally walking into these super secret facilities? I mean, I think that's the biggest issue I had. All the time I was just thinking, like, there's nobody, like, she can just play music freely next to this creature. You know, there's no cameras watching her or anything. So yeah, that's one of my nitpicks. Just, I couldn't believe the lack of security.
Yep.
And then my next one, the coincidences that happened on the last day. So a lot of things happen on this last day, Michael. Strickland gets on the right path in terms of solving the case. Dmitri is being extracted by his Russian handlers, and Eliza is releasing the fish monster into the docks, all on the exact same day. Isn't that nice?
Yeah, it is very convenient.
It is extremely convenient, if I do say so myself.
And also, the only reason Strickland gets on the right track is because some other guy gets angry at him.
Indeed. Yeah.
So he also,
He says he's got 36 hours. If he had said, like, 60 hours, then who knows?
Yeah, exactly.
Maybe he would have had a bit more time.
Yeah, I think I'd like to see that. I'd like to see a film where it's kind of like a cat and mouse game, but at the end, in the final climax, the hypothetical proverbial cat doesn't even get close. Just like, like they send him off to the docks, and this guy's just, still busy knocking on the what's her name? What's the name of the African American cleaner?
What is it?
I feel like it's Delilah.
No, that's her middle name.
Oh, okay. Well, I'm a stupid
It begins
person.
with a Y, I think. Is it
I thought it began with a V, actually.
Fuck.
Like Viola.
No,
But that's probably...
it's Zelda Fuller. I think
Zelda.
Viola, but if I'm not mistaken, Viola was a name of another character played by Octavia Spencer.
Oh. Well, anyway, yeah.
It's Zelda. That's her name, Zelda Fuller.
Oh, yeah. Just like the person from the video games.
Yeah.
In fact, I didn't realize Zelda was actually a name. Like, I thought it just came from the video games.
Well, So, yeah, that's my two nitpicks. Shall we get onto the plot?
Yeah, okay, let's talk about the plot. So, I have, I'll tell you what, I'll tell you one thing first of all. It took me a while to actually realize this was supposed to be set on, like, Earth. As in, like, I don't want to say on Earth, but, like, in our real timeline on this real planet. Because the beginning of the film, like, the kind of style and aesthetic looks so strange that I thought it was almost like the only film I can think of that's analogous to it, even though there's probably several examples, is the film The Double by Richard Ayoade. And basically, in the entire film is set in this very bizarro version of Earth, where it's kind of like steampunky. Like, people work at their computers, but their computers have, like, this weird Victorian aesthetic, and it's just never really addressed. Like, the entire film doesn't really address the fact that it doesn't seem like the real world. Anyway, I know, like,
that
so many
reminds
strange...
me, by the way, just to cut in, that reminds me of that, what was it called, with Jonah Hill and Emma Stone, that thing on Netflix, which I saw. I don't know if you saw it as well.
I don't recognize that in my head. Yeah, I might recognize the name of it.
It was like a 10-part series. It was a psychological thriller. I'm gonna look it up because this is annoying me. But basically, yeah, it was the same thing. It was like set in, on Earth, and it had advanced technology. That was it, Maniac. Yes, it had advanced technology, but everything was like from the 1980s in terms of just like the computers, like they were big blocky computers, and the clothes that people wore as well. It was very weird.
Yeah,
unusual.
Yeah, I thought this was in some kind of weird, kind of bizarro version of Earth where, it wasn't real. And then, like, eventually it kind of just started to seem more and more like the, 1960s or 1950s, as I thought it was at the time, because I wasn't really thinking about it. It wasn't as exciting as I wanted it to be. I wanted it to be this completely strange place, and actually it was just the boring old real world.
boring old real world. Yeah, well, you're right. I mean, the reason why it's set in the past and has got a slightly weird feeling to it is because I think Del Toro wanted to create like a fairy tale.
Yeah, exactly. I think that's probably it.
Yeah,
a bit like Pan's Labyrinth.
Yeah, so it's why obviously I don't think you could have a woman have sex with a fish monster in modern times. I don't think that would really work. So you have to set it like 55 years ago. In the Cold War, like
they were much more accepting of these things back in the 50s.
Yeah. But I mean, you laugh, but it is the case. I mean, classic Hollywood had a lot of these like sort of monsters. Having romantic relationships with a woman, and obviously
Dracula.
that is not the case today. Yeah, Dracula. Yeah. There was what did Del Toro use as his inspiration? It was like a movie called Blue Lagoon, I think.
I was thinking of the creature from the Black Lagoon.
That was it, the creature from the Black Lagoon.
There we go.
Creature from the Black Lagoon came out in 1954.
Yeah.
So setting it around that time period would have made sense, basically.
Yeah, and I suppose in some sense you've got the whole thing of like the monster abducts the woman and then
like King Kong-esque.
I was thinking of King Kong, yeah.
Obviously the monster doesn't abduct the woman. But basically, you need to set it in the past because then it's more. It's something that would be more common in that era of popular culture for this story to happen.
Yeah, we don't have that. But having said that, Luke, I do actually have two films this reminded me of, and I couldn't shake them from my head. The first one is a very well-known film. Perhaps you've heard of it. It's called E.T.
Why did it remind you of E.T.?
Well, it's like there's this humanoid, intelligent life form that a random civilian finds, and then there's a government agency that's trying to experiment on them, just like E.T.
Mm-hmm. Yes,
and also it has healing abilities.
And like the kids fall in love with it.
Yeah, exactly. And E.T. has sex with the kids. And the other movie, it's a quite obscure movie called Splice, starring Adrian Brody and I think Julianne Moore. Although that could be completely wrong. But basically, the plot is that two scientists make a kind of genetic hybrid monster thing, and Adrian Brody ends up falling in love with it, and he never actually ends up having sex with it, but then it metamorphosizes into a man. So it was a woman. It metamorphosizes into a man, and then it rapes Julianne Moore.
Wow.
I don't think it's Julianne Moore. I might look it up, and you can say something while I'm looking it up. Something really interesting. Well,
I was just going to expand up my fairy tale point, Michael. I think that is one of the reasons why the villain in this movie, Strickland, played by Michael Shannon, is not at all subtle, because that's how it is in like fairy tales. There's always like some big bad guy who wants to kill whoever, the monster in this case, or in other fairy tales it would be the male lead. So I was thinking, like, why for a supposedly great movie, why is the villain like so obviously villainous? Like he's just like Mr. Bad Guy, and it's because like in fairy tales it's like that, I guess, and that's what Del Toro I think initially wanted to create. You got anything else to say on that?
Yeah, I had to say some really important things. First of all, the actress was actually Sarah Polley, who is the lead in Dawn of the Dead. Second of all, and I think this is important, Guillermo del Toro was actually... Yeah, I know.
I think it's Guillermo.
Guillermo. That makes sense, because of course in Spanish, a double L is pronounced as a Y, and that's why they have paella. Guillermo del Toro is the executive producer for the film Splice. And the tagline is, "She's not human, ... not entirely."
Oh.
Yeah. Oh. That was I was really rooting for Adrian Brody to fuck her, because at the time I thought Adrian Brody was kind of like underrated in the attractiveness department. I was like, I think he's kind of good looking in a classical sense. And he was in the King Kong remake.
Yeah, he was. He's got a massive nose though.
Yeah, but that's kind of
get away from that.
Yeah. Anyway, yeah.
Oh, no, he's not Jewish, is he?
I don't know. See, the thing is, he was in The Pianist, and that was about Jews, wasn't it?
I mean, like, actors can play different characters,
Yeah, I
not
know.
necessarily their own religion.
Yeah, he could. I feel like he could be Italian, but I don't know. He could very easily be Jewish.
Okay, we've got off track here.
So I'll talk about your theory. Your fairy tale explains why the villain is very one-dimensional looking theory.
Yes.
And I pretty much think yes. Although it wasn't it wasn't so obvious that was what they were going for.
How do you mean?
Well, it was like, I don't know. It was like it was almost like he wasn't over the top enough for he didn't have an evil laugh, basically.
He didn't have an evil laugh.
Well, I don't know. I'm thinking about like classic villains, and I can just imagine him, like, I'll get you now, and the woman screaming, going, save me! And he's like, scream all you want, no one will save you.
Okay. It's
he
fairy
didn't say that. No, yeah.
Not literally a carbon copy of one of those movies. But, I mean, he's a pretty bad guy. I mean, Michael Shannon, he can't play somebody who's not a villain.
Yeah.
It's impossible.
He really reminded me. I couldn't get it out of my head. He looked so much like the Doctor from The Human Centipede, and it was so confusing. And I just thought, because in both cases, so he kind of almost seemed like he was like a horror movie villain in a way, not so much which I guess kind of makes sense because, of course, even while you've used the term fairy tale, I'm just going to drop a bombshell and suggest that maybe you're kind of using the wrong term, because what these films are really more reminiscent of is the universal horror, not so much fairy tale, but like, Dracula, the Wolfman, Frankenstein, Phantom of the Opera. That's a story about a woman falling in love with what's it called? You know what I'm saying? Woman falling in love with an ugly person.
Hunchback of Notre Dame.
Yeah, so he kind of seems like like a Dr. Frankenstein style villain.
Well, yeah, I mean, the thing is, like, those two categories kind of overlap. Like, those old-timey horror movies and fairy tale stories. Because fairy tales can be quite dark sometimes.
Well, you know what they say, Luke? Knowledge is realizing that Frankenstein isn't the name of the monster. Wisdom is realizing that Frankenstein is the name of the monster.
Yeah, I think you've already said that, Michael.
Yeah, I have. But, that was kind of appropriate, except for the fact that he didn't actually make, what's it called, man? He didn't make Aquaman, the creature from the Black Lagoon. It looks so much like the creature from the Black Lagoon.
Well, you know what else it looks like, the creature?
Zack.
What's that?
Oh, Zack or Zat, or that thing that Red Letter Media talked about that one time.
Oh, I was going to talk about the creature from Hellboy.
Oh, yeah, but what would Guillermo del Toro have to do with Hellboy?
I don't know, Michael. No.
Yeah.
He's a fraud, basically.
Yeah, isn't there like a remake of Hellboy coming out? Aren't we reviewing Hellboy quite soon?
No, we're not. I think the remake might have already come out.
Oh, okay, that still makes sense then.
Yeah,
because I was thinking about Hellboy, and I was thinking recently that I wanted to rewatch Hellboy, and I'm sure it must have been triggered by something. But yeah, you're right, Luke.
Anyway, the actual story, Michael. Obviously, it's not that complicated. There's a janitor called Eliza falls in love with this fish monster, and she wants to break it out before they kill it. She does break it out, and then it lives with her for a few days. Then they release it back into the wild, basically like Free Willy, only this time she has sex with the fish monster, and in fact goes with him into the ocean.
How big is a whale's penis? Because they're mammals. They're mammals, which means they must have penis. And how the hell do they have sex?
What, whales?
Yeah, because I mean, like they're not like fishes. Fishes, as we know, they lay eggs, and then the man comes along and spunks on them. But whales, I'm assuming, they actually just, the whale penis goes inside the whale vagina, and then they, hump, especially if they're humpback whales.
That's what San Diego means, Michael. We can't forget that.
Yeah.
A whale's vagina. That was the reference. Do you remember that?
Is it from Anchorman?
Yeah, it is from Anchorman, yeah.
Yeah, I assume so, because it's from San Diego. I don't remember it, though, actually, which is weird.
It was when Ron Burgundy is in the car with Veronica, I think that's what she's called. And,
yeah, Veronica Corningstone.
That's it. Yeah, and he's just talking about San Diego, and he says it's Spanish for a whale's vagina. Yeah, but you're right.
Well,
Whales do
yes.
have penises.
Yeah, so basically what I'm saying is he could have fucked Free Willy if he wanted to. But more to the point, what I think you've kind of pointed to there is, I think, the fundamental reason why this film is very confusing in terms of like why it's ironically, it's confusing because it's simple. And what I mean by that is that it's simple, which makes you think, why is this so popular? Because the progression of events is so boring.
Yeah.
The progression of events is literally just like she sees a monster, she goes, all right, how's it going? And then they kind of fall in love very quickly.
I like that term, by the way, Michael, progression of events.
Thank you. So basically, the thing is that retroactively, they kind of explain why they fall in love so quickly, because she's like, it's because I'm mute. I'm intelligent, but I can't, vocalize. And he's intelligent and he can't vocalize. So that way we can be best friends.
Yeah, but
yeah, it is kind of just glossed over. And then,
well, we'll get onto that in the romance.
Yeah.
But
oh, yeah. Sorry. Yeah. Yeah.
I do want to say you are right. Like, to use your phrase, the progression of the fence is I said progression of the fence. The progression of events is incredibly simplistic. You get obviously Eliza falling in love with this fish monster, and then she breaks him out of this top secret facility, kind of like you'd see in like action movies when they're trying to get someone out of jail. Or a science fiction movie, like, for instance, E.T. So you mentioned the plot is quite basic, and I was thinking, like, halfway through this movie, when it's probably at its weakest, when it's just doing all this standard stuff, which you wouldn't normally see in, like, Academy Award-winning movies. Like, how did this get nominated and win Best Picture?
I was
thinking that, like, halfway through. Like, because it was just so, like, formulaic. The ending is good with her and the fish. The relationship that they have, although unique, it is done very well. But yeah, just basically in terms of just the overall plot, it is simplistic and it's not that engaging and entertaining. And yeah, I was thinking, like, how is this a Best Picture movie? Because it just does seem pretty dull and uninspiring. In terms of the plot, not the actual like production design and everything.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I was kind of expecting like some kind of twist of some sort with the plot, but yeah, there wasn't really a twist at all.
Well, there was that Russian agent, which was a nice element, I guess. It was a nice idea.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, it's nice, I guess. But then there was this whole other thing, which I think we need to talk about, which is the B story of this movie. So obviously, Eliza has a neighbor. And that neighbor is Richard Jenkins as Giles, Eliza's closeted neighbor and close friend, who is a struggling advertising illustrator. He has two things going on in this movie, Michael. So
he's gay.
He is gay, and he wants to hit on this guy from a
racist bar.
Yeah, well, it's a pie shop. It's like a pie fast food thing.
Yeah, he wanted to give him a cream pie.
Yeah, he did. But yeah, that guy wasn't into that apparently. And so in like the space of a couple of minutes, you have him getting his dream destroyed. Well, not a dream, I guess his chance of employment destroyed by the fact that he can no longer go back to working for this company he was working for, and he gets rejected by that racist pie guy. Pie guy. So yeah, like Giles, basically, you get like these B story again. It's like they're uninteresting and they have no relevance to the actual plot, because once they're done, they're done. He's like, that's it.
I also found it a bit out of nowhere when it ate the cat. Mostly because when I was watching this film, I was thinking about my cat, and I was thinking about how cute. Oh no, okay, I know why. Okay, so I saw the cutest. Oh, it was so cute. Like, it was a picture. I might even send it to you. It's just that cute. But I'll kind of look for it a bit. I'll explain it to you before I send it to you, so everyone can know what you're looking at. Basically, it's a little kitten, like a tiny little kitten, and it's got this little outfit on, and the outfit is like a lion. So it's kind of like a lion's mane, and then it yawns, and when it yawns, it looks like a little lion that's roaring, and it's taking a while to come up. So maybe I'll just find it the old-fashioned way: kitten with lion outfit. And yeah, so basically,
This is bad radio, Michael.
yeah, and to be honest, I'm not even finding exactly what I wanted. All of these aren't that cute, Luke, to be honest. But the important thing is, what I'm saying is that, it bit off this cat's head,
Yeah, Giles.
which is fine. I'm okay with that in a way, in some sense. But then it's kind of like, I guess that didn't really go anywhere. Like, it was like you could have had this thing like, oh, it's a violent monster, and what are you going to do about the fact that it's such a violent, monster? But actually, it's kind of just like, bit off my cat's head, and it's so cute.
Okay, I'm looking at it now. Oh wow, that is pretty cute.
No, it's wearing his little lion outfit.
So cute.
Yeah,
But yeah, anyway, my point was that the Giles storyline was pointless, and it was
it was.
boring,
Yes,
and it's not what you expect in a Best Picture winning movie when these movies are meant to be like almost perfect, and then you just have this storyline rammed in, but whatever.
yeah, it was very strange. I mean, to be honest, I wasn't even really thinking about it until, I thought about it kind of at the time, but yeah, when you put it into perspective, it is just very strange. And apart from that, what else is there, Luke? You got anything else?
Well, throughout the plot, I guess the main thing that is its main it's
Draw.
thing, yeah, I guess I'm not sure draw is the right word. Like
You almost said white word.
The main advantage of the plot.
Yeah, I get what you're saying, but I can't think of the word for either.
Yeah, it's the empowerment, or just the best thing about it, I guess. It's the empowerment of Eliza, and obviously the romance, which we'll talk about in a bit, that helps. But she goes from being alone, working in a dead-end job, to finding true love and stealing a government secret and taunting Strickland, which I think was very ballsy of her to do. But yeah, she went ahead and did it, and obviously that is mainly, I think, what the main
film's about.
Yeah, it's what the film's about, and it's the best thing. I think actually the romantic elements are the best thing about the movie, and what goes along with that is the empowerment of Eliza. And I would like to see, I guess, more scenes between the fish monster and Eliza, because, like I said, it's the best parts of the movie. It would add to their relationship, which I think is important as well, which we'll go on to in a bit. And yeah, the ending of the movie, obviously the end, final scene when the fish monster takes her into the water and heals her, and what obviously the symbolic thing there is her scars, which obviously made her mute, which is what limited her life, now enable her to live out the rest of her days in happiness because they are now gills. So there you go.
Yeah,
and
what they say? Big gills are doing it for themselves. No, wait, it's sisters, not big girls.
Yeah.
What about that Mika song? Big gills, you are beautiful.
Isn't there a song like Big Girls Don't Cry?
Oh yeah. La, la, la. I hope you know that this has nothing to do. I actually really like that song. I might listen to it once this podcast is over.
Good for you. So yeah, essentially, I think the ending is the best part of the movie. It's the best scene in the movie.
Yeah, I liked it because it was over. Oh, no, I'm kidding. I agree with you. The ending is the best scene.
It is a beautiful scene, and that is when I realised, I guess this is why it was nominated for Best Picture and won. This now makes sense, because the romance between those two, we get on to romance here, but yeah, it's the best part of the movie, it's the best part of the plot, and I just wish there was more in that, because that is essentially what made it interesting in parts and watchable.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah.
What do you want to move on to next? If you're done with the plot.
Well, actually, you know what? I said we do characters and then romance, but maybe we should just jump into the romance, Luke, seeing as you've set us up with a perfect segue.
Okay. I just want to say, well, firstly, I've just talked, glowingly about the romance, but I do have a problem with it, Michael. There's no real reason as to why she falls in love with this creature in the first place. I'm fine with that happening, but where's the spark? Obviously, because it's not human. That is, a big obstacle.
Yeah.
And how can she tell it's intelligent enough to think about her in a romantic way?
It's very confusing, and I think they should have spent more time psychoanalyzing, because maybe she's kind of just crazy and was desperate, but they should have spent more time psychoanalyzing that, or they should have had a scene where, it became apparent that the monster, like, I don't know, it could have had the monster do something nice for her. A bit like in, King Kong when it fights those 3 T-Rexes.
Yeah, the monster could do something nice for her. The monster could do something like intelligent as well, because the monster, like, obviously, the monster's meant to be like quite smart, but it still tries to eat a cat.
Exactly. Yeah, I was kind of confused by that because, like, I mean, it kind of succeeded in eating a cat. I mean, to be honest, and also it ate the grossest part of the cat. Like, if I was going to eat any part of the cat, I wouldn't eat its head because that's where all like the brains and the eyeballs and stuff is, and the teeth. I mean, like if you had to eat any part of a cat, which part would you eat, Luke?
Its tail.
I think I'd eat like the back leg because I think the back leg has the most meat on it because they like to jump around.
Fair enough.
Get up and get down. Anyway, so he's not even intelligent.
No, yeah, I mean, like in those actual scenes at the beginning when she's giving him eggs, like he seems confused by everything, which you would imagine he would be. But I don't get how Eliza can think, oh, this monster is like me, because if we're just talking like IQ, for instance, like I imagine Eliza has an IQ, let's say, of around 110. What if this monster has an IQ of like 40?
Yeah.
Like, what then? Like, and from those early scenes, that very well could be the case. Like, I don't know what its IQ is, but it doesn't certainly seem that smart. And so I don't know why you would initially fall in love with it in a romantic way. Like, obviously we've seen like people rescuing, for example, in E.T., people rescuing these weird creatures, or not. Maybe they don't have to be weird creatures. Maybe they can just be animals. And obviously that happens in real life sometimes, but there's never like a romantic relationship. It's just like, oh, they feel sorry for this creature.
Yeah.
And they break it out because, they feel guilty and they don't want this creature to come to any more harm. I just couldn't understand where the romantic angle was coming from.
Yeah, and I think that was kind of disappointing, and it was because obviously that was happening during the first half, and that was kind of limiting the quality because the romance only became kind of more real once it was already in the house.
Yes.
Even though it was kind of only physical, it was just because it was like, oh, I guess it's they're having a cute little moment together.
And there's this moment when she's like singing. Remember that dream sequence?
Oh yeah, that was completely out of nowhere where she sings that. I have never loved. Is that how it goes?
Yeah, something like that. And you're right, it was out of nowhere. But what was interesting to me is obviously she finishes doing the song and she gets back to the table and this monster is sitting opposite her, and like she's just she's still imagining herself with the monster like in a tuxedo and then dancing, and she's happy, and it's just the monster at the other end of the table just making these weird sounds like like that. It's like how do you like think about it in a romantic? I don't get it.
Yeah, it's strange. I mean, like, and you've got to realize, I mean, I think there's some pretty obvious sliminess that needs to be overcome in this whole thing that no one's really addressing. I mean,
do you want to address that next?
Well, it would be a very slimy monster. And also, I mean, I don't know, like, okay. So I think we should talk about the fact that this film is very popular amongst furries.
Is it really popular amongst furries?
Well, okay, no. So basically, like, some people have said it's like a furry film. Of course, it's kind of weird because obviously it's not furry. But, if we take furry to just mean people being attracted to anthropomorphic animals, there are some people out there who, I think it's less common, but there are some people out there who are attracted to non-mammalian anthropomorphic animals. I might look up the words The Shape of Water and furry, but yeah, basically there's people who are attracted to non-mammalian animals.
Well, there's people attracted to like train stations.
Yeah, that's hot.
I mean, yeah, and like cars. There's that that famous TV episode where they're filming a guy and he has an attraction to cars, and like the film crew goes to bed at night and they wake up to find this guy fucking their car, which is fun. But basically, yeah, people are attracted to weird things.
Yeah. Apparently, this guy says Guillermo del Toro is a furry.
Is that confirmed?
And apparently there's a Shape of Water amphibian sex toy.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So there we go.
I like, by the way, I was just thinking, like, obviously she is attracted to that, and so she doesn't find it weird, which is fine. But other people around her, like Giles, doesn't seem that freaked out by it. He's just like, oh yeah, I guess you're in love with the fish monster, Oh, okay. And Zelda at work, when she is told, well, she's not told, when she manages to infer that Eliza has had sex with this fish monster, she's like, she doesn't freak out. She's just like, oh, don't trust. I'm not going to do the accent actually. She's basically, she's like, oh, any men are all the same. Or she does that kind of. I'm paraphrasing obviously, but she's like, oh, all men, they, you think they're different, but they all. You never trust them. I don't know, something like that. So she doesn't freak out by the fact that she's just been told that Eliza has had sex with a fucking fish monster. It just doesn't faze her at all. So yeah, I think there's not maybe like with Eliza, because like you said before, people can be attracted to weird things, but apparently nobody else seems to care that she had sex with it.
Yeah,
so there you go.
Yeah, it's very strange. It's a bit like there's a weird film. There's a film I'm thinking of where
it's treated like a quirk, basically.
Yeah, there's a film I'm thinking of where it's really strange because people don't have a problem with it, and I can't think what the film is, and it's actually really annoying me. It's like I'm never going to remember it, so it doesn't matter. But yeah, there was a film where somebody had sex with something weird, and nobody had a problem with it, and it was kind of strange that nobody had a problem with it. I can't remember what the film is, but yeah, what we've established, Luke, is that everyone's completely okay with it, and also,
what if Zelda, Michael? Sorry, just to put in. What if Zelda just thought she wanted to rescue the monster because she felt sorry for it?
Yeah,
and
exactly.
Then like she's like, wait, what? You had sex with that? Like,
yeah,
yeah. It's. Like,
I mean, that's what I'd be like. I mean, you got to realize, Luke. Basically, the idea of having sex with an animal is much more appealing when you're not dealing with a real animal, because here's the thing, like with these cartoon animals that these people like to imagine having sex with, they're very toned down. All of the gross hair and the slobber and the slime and the rough scales and whatever else these animals have, it's all gone because in the two-dimensional rendering. But the minute you have this realistic thing, I can't help but feel like, I don't know. And it also smells like fish. I bet it smells like fish.
Yeah, definitely.
So, yeah. I mean, maybe she's just got really poor vaginal hygiene, so she doesn't notice that it smells like fish.
And she has a bath every day, Michael.
Oh, yeah. She has really unnecessarily deep baths. Like, they're just spilling out.
Maybe she just loves water, Michael.
Yeah, maybe she loves this. Also, what is the shape of water?
Shape of water, well, is it meant to be like everything around you? Like that's the shape of water. Obviously, the water has no shape, but it forms around an object. So essentially, in this movie, Eliza would be the shape, and the shape of water would be the fish monster, and it's everywhere around her. I'm not sure, Michael, but that's the theory. The theory I'm working with right now.
I think so. Yeah, water. It can fit, and it may be okay because she's kind of her sexuality is very fluid. That's why she wants to have sex with a fish man, and therefore, just like her sexuality is the shape of water because, like water, it just flows and molds to anything.
Yeah, go with the flow. But having said all that about the negative ways in which the relationship between Eliza and the fish thing is portrayed at first, and how you don't get a sense of like how you can't understand why there is a romantic element between the two, and how nobody really cares or reacts in a normal way to the fact that she's had sex with this fish monster. I have to say, at the end, like we said before with the plot, the ending is really good. Like the final scene is beautiful, and like I said, more scenes between them, the fish monster and Eliza would have, I guess, helped me, and from what I can gather you, to understand where the romantic relationship is coming. why there is a romantic relationship between Eliza and this fish monster, and also those scenes are the most engaging parts of the movie. So it would add to their relationship and it would make it more entertaining. And also, I think that would be a good move to make. So yeah, what do you think about that? You agree?
I agree. Yeah, I agree. Basically, I don't have anything else to add.
Okay,
you got it in one.
Nothing more on the romance then?
No. Yeah, nothing else.
Yeah. Like I said, it could have been. It was good, especially at the end. It was really good, but it could have been better. Okay, so characters, Michael. Characters. So first character we got is what she called Eliza as Sally. Sally Hawkins plays Eliza Esposito, a mute cleaner who.
Esposito. Remember that song?
Yes, I remember that song. That was the sound of 2017.
Yeah.
Or the summer of 2017, rather. I know, because that's when I went to America, and literally, I heard that song so many times, just in bars and stuff. Anyway,
heard that song 1,000 times.
Do you want to say anything on Sally Hawkins or Eliza?
Wait, okay, so that's the main character. Yeah, that is. Yeah. Wait, that is the main character, right?
Yeah, that is the main character.
Good. Yeah, yeah.
Because you've been paying attention, Michael.
Yeah. Because I was getting confused because I was thinking about Zelda. Okay, no, Zelda's got you. All right. So Eliza, I mean, she's just. I guess she, because she can't really say anything, she can't really express herself very much. She kind of just seems like a lonely, crazy person.
Yeah, I mean, she is, though.
Exactly, yeah. So, I mean, that's kind of her character. Also, she masturbates a lot in the bath.
Yeah, which I guess has some meaning.
Yeah. It means that she's wet.
She likes to have sex in water, I guess. Water turns her on. Now it all makes sense. But yeah, I just want to say, on Sally Hawkins, she was nominated. You mentioned, obviously, this one Best Picture at the Academy Awards. Sally Hawkins was nominated for
Best Actress.
Best Actress, yes, she was.
Wow.
And that scene, when she's trying to explain to Giles why she wants to rescue this fish monster.
Yeah.
It is really good. Like, the acting that she manages to convey while not using her voice is incredible. The sign language obviously isn't the easiest to, perform emotions with, because obviously, like I say, you can't use your voice, but when she's pleading her case, you really understand her desperation, and, it's fantastic
desperation.
Acting. She is desperate.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah,
so,
I think, I mean, if I had to pick an example of good acting, it would definitely be that. But all in all, I wasn't that impressed by her performance, but only because I don't think there were that many opportunities for her apart from that moment. So
yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
but that was her shining moment, and it was really, really well done.
Yeah, I agree. So yeah, that was good. But yeah, I mean, yeah. So, but I wouldn't have. Yeah, I don't really know who else was nominated. Who else was nominated?
Frances McDormand.
I would have given it to Frances McDormand over. So yeah, that's very easy.
Michael Shannon as Richard Strickland, a United States colonel in charge of a project to study the asset. So obviously this guy's, Mr. Bad Guy. Are you doing something, by the way?
Yeah, sorry, I'm trying to screw a cereal box together.
Wow.
With a screw.
Glad to see you're taking this seriously, Michael?
Yes. Okay. Well, all right, okay. Michael Shannon, Captain Zod himself, as he'll henceforth be known, I think you kind of covered everything about him. He is a really over-the-top villain, but that might be
not really over the top.
Yeah, not really over the top, but very, very irredeemable villain, you might say. And there was no moment of him. I guess actually one thing we should talk about is like the whole biblical thing, which kind of didn't really. I mean, I wasn't really sure about
anyway,
it. Yeah.
And also, what also didn't go anywhere, just to leap off your point, is the fact that he sexually harasses Eliza. Again, that doesn't really, we already know he's a bad guy. You don't need to go any further with it. And again, that plot point just kind of dies. Nothing happens with it.
Yeah, I tell you what else annoys me. So you know the story of Samson and Delilah, don't you?
Well, yes, because it's told in the movie.
Yeah, but the important thing is, and this is the important thing, to the extent that Samson did anything wrong within the biblical narrative, it was that he married a Philistine, which was looked down on at the time. because Delilah was a Philistine. So what you could have done there, I guess you could make an argument about kind of unholy unions, because, you know, obviously he married a Philistine, and that's why that is why the Spirit of God initially departs from him, which causes him to get caught. And then at the end, the Spirit of God comes back, and that's why he destroys everything. So, I don't know. So, in a way, it was kind of like a missed opportunity, because they could have really embraced the biblical narrative and kind of, you know, thrown some kind of...
What are you doing, man?
Throwing some kind of... that time I was flipping a magnet with my thumb. Throwing some kind of biblical symbolism in there with the whole, you know, Samson marries somebody from the wrong tribe. Maybe you know, someone else marries something from the wrong tribe. And you could have done something with, you know, the whole, and then you could have thrown the whole segregation thing into it too. It could have all come together. The whole film could have been about unholy or not unholy, but socially unacceptable unions framed around the story of Samson, who, of course, was in a relationship with a Philistine person.
Wait, so in the Bible, God punishes Samson for marrying a Philistine?
In a roundabout way, yes.
Well, God's a bit of a dick then, isn't he?
Yeah, well, you know, it's kind of it's part of I assume you know what book it's from, don't you, Luke?
The book of Job.
You know what, Luke? You started off with the right letter. It's actually from the book of Judges, and it is a bit out of place because...
Job begins with a G.
No, it doesn't.
It does in the Arrested Development. Anyway, continue.
Oh, gob. You know, in America, gob doesn't mean spit.
What does it mean?
Nothing.
Oh.
If you went to an American, oi, shut your gob, they'd go, what? Anyway.
Pardon me, sir.
Excuse me, sir. This is a library. Please get out of here. No! Shut your gob, you slag.
Right, what was your point?
Like, that's what you were doing when you went to America. So the point is, okay, so basically, the whole thing with Judges is that there's a series of quote-unquote heroes, but they all have flaws. And the first guy, basically, he defeats the baddies, but before he defeats the baddies, he asks loads of people to help him, and they refuse. So what he does is, after he defeats the baddies, he goes and kills all the people who refuse to help him. And that's kind of his bad thing. The second bad guy, he beats the baddies, but he says that, you know, if he beats the baddies, he'll sacrifice his daughter. And then he beats the baddies and he sacrifices his daughter. So you've kind of got this whole murdery thing going. And then there's Samson, and he literally just bangs somebody from the wrong nation.
Can't be doing that now, can you?
Yeah. But also, I mean, he was a bit violent too. He actually, if I remember correctly, killed like 100 Philistines with a donkey's jaw, like the jaw of a donkey skeleton. He killed them with it.
Wow, what a badass.
Yeah, so I don't know and this one time, he was such a pranker. This one time, he got some reeds and he set them on fire and tied them to the tail of some dogs and then scattered them in the Philistines' crops. Yeah, he kind of had it coming, really, the whole eye gouging thing.
Sounds like it. Does sound like it. So yeah, basically that doesn't really go anywhere, like you said. And also Strickland sexually harassing Eliza, that doesn't go anywhere either. I was thinking actually while you were talking about that, what if Strickland was like trying to start an affair with Eliza and comes round to her house, and you know, and then they have to hide the fish monster.
That would have been a great little sequence.
Yeah, it would have been a nice little scene.
And it could have been really comical. They could have had a bit where he like walks into a room and like the creature stood right behind him, and he goes to turn around, and as he turns around, the creature kind of sidesteps. He looks around the other way. Creature sidesteps the other way. You know, hilarious. and then at the end, the creature just slits his throat. Yeah.
Anyway, I think we're done with characters.
Yeah.
Because unless you want to say anything else about the characters.
Nah, I'm good. I think we said everything. I mean, we talked about the gay man. I've forgotten his name.
Giles
Brandreth.
Yeah, his storylines just die.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So nothing happens.
Octavia Spencer as Zelda Fuller,
who later on becomes Dr. Octopus.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's what happens. Michael Stuhlbarg as Robert Hofstadter.
Yeah, I mean, I think, actually, I'll say one thing about him. I was kind of expecting that it would reveal that he's like somewhat self-interested, like that he maybe helped them get the thing out of the place.
Mhm.
And then he was later on going to reveal that the reason he wanted them to get out of the place was so the Russians could then pick it up. So it's kind of like he was manipulating them. That's what I thought was going to happen, and I was kind of disappointed that didn't happen.
By the
So,
way,
yeah.
the guy who sells pies is literally called Pie Guy. So that shows you for laughing. Anyway, do you know who played Amphibian Man, by the way? That's what he's labelled as, apparently.
Rodrigo Santoro.
Doug Jones.
Oh,
Doug
that's
Jones. Whom Eliza forms a close bond. Maybe it's a bit more than that. I don't know.
Yeah.
So, yeah,
more like a
basically...
close bondage. I think.
I just want to say on the creature. I guess this goes for costume design. I guess this is the category. Like, the creature's costume is great. Like, it's fucking amazing.
How much of it's CGI and how much of it is like a practical costume?
I'm not sure, and I'm not sure why you're sounding echoey as well, Michael.
Oh, it's because I stood up. I felt like I needed to stretch my legs.
I see. But yeah, essentially, the creature's great, and it's great costume design or CGI or visual effects.
So
or whatever.
when you say it was a great costume design, do you mean to say that you found it attractive?
Yes,
Okay.
I found it incredibly attractive.
That makes sense. That's what I
Yeah, it's I've just been hiding my real feelings throughout the podcast and me lashing out at Eliza.
This entire time you've been masturbating.
Oh god. Also, the production design is really, really nice as well. It's really good, and obviously,
Yes.
I think it was nominated for best production design.
Yeah, it does feel a bit surreal, which is fine because obviously it kind of works.
Yeah.
So
The detail that they put in is really good. Like, it just obviously the lack of security at the lab is a problem, but the lab does look really like interesting and cool, I guess.
yeah, it looks believably like 1950 or 1960s-y, but
Yeah. No. So yeah, I'm just actually having a look, Michael, at the
accolades.
at the accolades. Exactly, Michael, at the accolades. So obviously it won Best Picture. I'm just. Why isn't this easy, Michael?
What's that song? Song about things being easy. It was supposed to be so easy. Just take back the DVD, withdraw the extra money, then call mum and tell her I couldn't make tea, grab the savings and hurry. So to get the DVD back in time, to avoid that big fine, I had to do an uphill climb, but I signed some. Got to the store in the right state, but chuffed it wouldn't be late. Only when he flipped open the case, I'd left the disc at my place.
So it actually did win for Best Original Score. So there you go. And it also won for Best Production Design. So yeah, I mean...
For some reason I recognised the score, because the score was kind of like... do, 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 do. And I don't know, it reminded me of something. But it might have been that I just recognised it.
The score was good. It also won Best Director for Guillermo del Toro, which is good. I was nominated as well for Best Actress, Best Supporting Actor, that was Richard Jenkins as well, Best Supporting Actress, Octavia Spencer, Best Original Screenplay, Best Cinematography, Best Costume Design, Best Film Editing, Best Sound Editing, Best Sound Mixing. Didn't win any of those, though. Only won 4.
Loser.
Yeah. But it took home Best Picture, which is the most important thing. So, do you want to wrap up now, Michael?
Yeah, okay, let's wrap it up.
You go first. I want you to go first.
Yeah, to be honest, I haven't actually completely decided where I'm going to put it, but I'll talk about it anyway. It's fine. I don't care. See if I care. I don't give a shit. Okay, so this film, like we've said, it had a very kind of formulaic or simplistic, that word I used, progression of events or whatever I said. And I think that kind of hurt it. And also the fact that the romance comes a bit out of left field kind of hurt it. And that kind of makes the first hour of this film perplexing, especially if you know this film is, Best Picture winner. You're sat there thinking, why is this film Best Picture winner? Things improve a bit because of the sensual relationship between the woman and the monster. There's a whole lot of plot threads that go nowhere. Yeah, Fish Monster. He should have a name. I wish he had a name.
It was Amphibian Man.
Yeah, exactly. But to be honest, they didn't really have that many conversations actually. So that's one thing. But it was still very kind of interesting, an interesting thing to be done. And I suppose you can appreciate the way it's kind of an homage to a lot of kind of conventions from 1950s and 60s and before then with the kind of universal horror films, and also fairy tales. Having said all of that, I don't think this film was that great. I really don't think it was the best picture, which I assume you're going to agree with me with. I'm thinking about it, and I'm thinking about it again. And to be honest, Luke, I think I'm going to put this film below
Daddy's Home.
Below 50 Shades No, below Slumdog Millionaire, and above it.
Okay, interesting.
Which is actually quite low down. It's in my 24th spot.
Interesting. Anyway, well.
Now you can do yours, yeah.
By the way, Michael, just to tell you, so last week, well, not last week. But
you rearranged what you were doing. You rearranged your list. No, actually, you wouldn't have done that because you didn't have a list. You rearranged some ratings.
I changed the score. Yes, I changed one score. So you said that Three Billboards was the best movie you've seen since we started doing this. And so that made me think. I was like, maybe my 8.5 rating wasn't good enough. So I'll tell you what I did. I watched it again.
At 6.
Demoted it. No, I bumped it up to a 9 because I watched it and I was like, you know what? Some of these other movies that I put at 8.5, like, this movie's better than them. So I'll bump it up to a 9.
Okay, Luke, so I appreciate you validating me.
Yes, so yeah, Three Billboards is now 9 out of 10 for me.
And pray tell, Luke, what is this?
Well, The Shape of Water, Michael, is not a 9 out of 10. I can say that for certain. Yes, it's a 10. No. Look, obviously, Guillermo del Toro, this was a passion project for him. Like, he loves monsters.
He loves fish.
He loves fish. He loves humanoid amphibians that have penises inside their bodies. No, he loves fairy tales. He loves this kind of classic Hollywood sort of movie, like The Creature of the Black Lagoon. Obviously, that was his inspiration for this movie. And so I can appreciate that he really loved making this movie, and credit to him for that. It was really in, like his vision, obviously. However, for me, as a viewer, I did not find it entertaining, especially the first hour, because like you said, just the romance, I don't know how it forms, and I would like to know, because I was expecting it, obviously, before the movie. I knew, like, this woman's going to fall in love with this fish. So I was expecting, for it to start out slow and eventually they start to form a bond. There's only, like, a few scenes of them together, and then from that they apparently fall in love, which it's disappointing. Also, like you said, the progression of events, it's very formulaic, it's very simple. And there's all the stuff about, like, Giles's B story, which those storylines just go nowhere. The empowerment of Eliza is good. It's appreciated, and I do wish there was more scenes with Eliza and the fish, because it would help us understand the romance better, and those were the best parts of the movie. And yeah, I think obviously in the middle part of the movie it does feel just like a standard action movie or a science fiction movie, like I said before, when a team has to get someone out of a prison or an animal out of the place, like an E.T., and it just does not really feel like this is a Best Picture nominee. So overall, Michael, I am going to give this a 7 out of 10. I think it was disappointing considering the accolades that it won, and overall it was quite boring, not rewatchable, and I am disappointed. What can I say? I'm disappointed. Only a 7 out of 10 for The Shape of Water.
Yeah, I mean, I think that is completely fair, Luke, to be honest. So
the ending was really nice. If it hadn't been for the ending, it would have been 5.5.
Yeah, to be honest, the ending was the only thing that I didn't even mention the ending, so I'll just throw in and say, the ending is mostly why I would rate it high at all, as high as I am rating it, which is not even that high. So yeah, I mean, it's a surprisingly quite a disappointing Best Picture winner. And am I not right in saying that come next week we will have, or is it the week after that, or is it the week? No, I think it's come 3 weeks time. Is that right? We will have watched every single Best Picture nominee for 2017.
Yes, that is correct, because next week we're doing Black Panther, and then in the week after that we are doing Ladybird and I think The Post, and we are also going to watch Dancing Fred in between those. So we'll have watched all 9 Oscar nominees from last year, and we'll be able to form a list and say who should have rightfully won.
Yeah, exactly, and that would be great.
That would be great.
And as you say, Luke, next week we're watching, I think, what will be the Oscar, the Best Picture winner of this year, Black Panther.
Black Panther.
I think everyone can agree because of diversity. That's why they're going to do it.
Well, Michael, funny you bring that up, because we have now moved on from The Shape of Water to talking about the Oscars this year.
Yeah, the shape of the Oscars. I tell you what, Luke, this is a different kind of pool, an Oscar pool.
Oh wow! So yeah, we are recording this on the 24th of February, 2019.
Yeah,
the Oscars are tonight.
Yeah, if it was December, it would be Christmas Eve. There's a fact for you, Luke.
Yeah, that's a good fact. And so what we have done. Well, I hope you've done it. You have got.
Yeah, I have. Yeah.
Right. So
that would be funny if I just had like.
So
what we done, and we just start talking about like I haven't got anything.
We have predicted 10 categories, and these aren't what we think should win because we haven't seen all of the movies. We're just predicting. So we're using our nous, our intelligence, and our experience of what has won before in the Oscars, and we're predicting 10 categories, which are Best Picture, Best Director, Actor, Actress, Supporting Actor, Supporting Actress, Screenplay, Adapted Screenplay, Animated Film, and Cinematography.
Yes.
And Michael, so we've got 10, and I don't think I told you this, but I told you to get 2, which you were absolutely...
Yeah, I have got 2, which I'm absolutely confident in.
So one of those is going to be your lock of the week.
Yep.
And the
other
one's
going to be my shoe-in.
Exactly. The other one is going to be your shoe-in.
Okay.
And so, yeah, each of them are worth 10 points, but the one that you put a lock in or shoe in, you get 2 points if you get it right. That's how
okay.
It works.
Okay.
So, yeah. So in total, you can get 12 points, essentially.
All right. But first of all, I think we should have a kitten break. Look at that kitten. Look, a kitten break. So look at that little kitten. It's cute little.
I'll go back.
Isn't it cute? It's doing a little yawn.
Oh.
Anyway, so I think what we should do is we should start with the least important. I mean, you can make a call on what that is, but start with the least important stuff. Like we're not going to do supporting actress after best actress, are we, Luke?
Yeah. No, we're going to start with best cinematography.
That makes sense. Okay. And what we should do is we should both say it on the count of 3. We should say who we think is going to win. Okay.
You ready? I think that's a bad idea.
What?
Yeah. I think it's a bad idea because then people won't be able to hear.
Who goes first?
So you go first, then I go first the next time.
Okay. Well, you know what, Luke? Actually, this is important because it's funny we start off here. This is my shoe-in.
Oh.
Okay. It's Alfonso Cuarón because mostly because
cinematography.
Yeah, because we know, of course, that Alfonso Cuarón is very skillful. Alfonso Cuarón is responsible for the single most artistic shot in any Harry Potter film, which is the one where it goes through the mirror and then out the other side of the mirror. And it's from The Prisoner of Azkaban, and it's when they go to see the Boggart, and they go through the mirror and out. And and also Alfonso Cuarón did the famous Wanna in the film I mentioned really recently. Well, not really recently because of the whole thing with us not having spoken for ages, but Children of Men. Remember I was speaking about Children of Men?
Yes, Children of Men.
Yeah, so there's a famous action scene in that. It's this very complicated action scene, and it's all done in one shot. And that was also by Alfonso Cuarón. So Alfonso Cuarón, he's due. That's what I'm saying. He's my Jew-in.
Okay, so he's your Jew-in.
Yes.
Well, so I also selected Roma. That is the movie, by the way. He did the cinematography for.
Yeah, I kind of knew that, but yeah.
You can. So yeah, Alfonso Cuarón in Roma. So I also selected that. So we have got the same for that. Best cinematography will be won by Roma.
Yes.
So yeah, best animated film next.
Yeah. You go now?
Yeah,
maybe?
I go. Yeah. So my best animated film was Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse. And the reason why I selected this, because I think it's better than all the other animated films on the list. I've seen Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse, and I think it's really, really good. It's a fantastic movie, and it deserves to win this.
Yeah.
So
I haven't seen Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse, even though I'm told I should, but I think I'll just wait. As I like to. I think I'll just not encourage them to make these interesting dynamic films by not voting with my wallet for them. I think that's the best thing to do. But I have gone for Wes Anderson's Isle of Dogs, mostly just because I thought, Wes Anderson. And then
Yeah.
I shrugged my shoulders. I went, oh, Wes Anderson. Shrugged my shoulders.
By the way, it's just incredible that
Yeah.
Incredibles 2 has been nominated. It just
I know,
shows
that's ridiculous.
a lack of great animated movies.
But yeah, I think what it's going to come down to is it's going to come down to how kind of smarmy, I don't know if that's the right word, but pompous, I guess, it's going to be when it comes to Into the Spider-Verse. Because I think Into the Spider-Verse is probably the best film, but I'm just wondering if they're going to actually do it, or whether or not they're going to go for more Isle of Dogs scenes. There was a weird Japanese one on there.
Yeah,
and
Mirai, which I haven't seen, but I don't think they'll get how can you get pompous with animated films? They're mostly kids films. Ralph Breaks the Internet. That's a kids film.
Oh yeah, you're right. You know what, Luke? But still, I'm just going to stick with it. Isle of Dogs, whatever.
You can stick with it.
I can't change it now anyway. That would be illegal.
Yes. So best adapted screenplay next. The nominees, but we should say the nominees actually.
Oh, you can say
that.
I don't have them up, so
I've got them up, so that's all right. The Ballad of Buster Scruggs, Black Klansman, Can You Ever Forgive Me, If Beale Street Could Talk, and A Star Is Born.
So I got The Ballad of Buster Scruggs because the Coen brothers.
Is that it?
That's my reason.
Yeah, no, I've seen it. It's on Netflix. It's a good movie. No, it's good. But I am going for Black Klansman.
I was thinking about that, yeah. But
yeah, I think obviously I've seen this movie as well. Went to the cinema to see it, and I think what is good about this, obviously Spike Lee has his own nice touch with it, but I think the source material is very strong. It is an incredibly just interesting story, and so I think also obviously it deals with the KKK and racism, which right now in America, as Black Klansman shows at the end of the movie, it is relevant. So I think Spike Lee has never got a, good showing at the Oscars. And the other movies like Ballad of Buster Scruggs, I don't see that winning. For a Coen Brothers movie, it's not one of their best. Can You Ever Forgive Me, If Beale Street Could Talk, A Star Is Born? I don't think they'll match up to Black Klansman in this category. So that's why I'm going for that. So we're moving on to Best Original Screenplay. The Favourites, First Reformed, Green Book, Roma, and Vice are the nominees. And I have gone for The Favourite. That is what I have gone for. I think it's The Favourite to win this award.
I went for First Reformed because I actually didn't even realize it was in Oscar contention. I've actually seen it, and I saw it just because it was referenced. And as you know, I hang out occasionally on some various religious and theological forums, and there was a thread, and it was like, what do you think about this interesting movie, First Reformed? And then I saw First Reformed, and I thought, that was pretty good. And I saw it, and I was like, oh. And I was just like, yeah, I'll go for that. Why not?
Okay.
It's kind of weird because it's not nominated for anything else. So I was like, maybe they'll,
Yeah. I went for Best Original Screenplay.
Oh, wait, hold on a minute. You know what? Actually, I just realized First Reformed is this is actually really funny because I sounded really non-committal there. And this is a kind of indication of how I feel about all of my predictions. But First Reformed is my lock of the week.
Wow.
Just because I was like, well, I felt like in many ways it was a sign from God himself. So I think in many ways this is God's lock of the week.
Okay. Well, I have to say, out of the 5, First Reformed is probably least likely to win, but
yeah, no, that's why it'll be a miracle when it does win, and then
I think from what I haven't seen The Favourite, but from what I've heard about it, seems like it's a very clever movie, but it's a dark comedy, so when you get that nominated for several Oscars, it's going to have a good screenplay. So yeah, that's why I went for The Favourite. Next up, Best Supporting Actress. You go first, Michael.
Rachel Weisz. What was she? I didn't even write down what these people were in. I think she was in. Was she in The Favourite?
She was in The Favourite.
Yeah, she was. Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
I need to say the nominees. Amy Adams in Vice as Lynn Cheney, Marina de Tavira, Roma as Sophia, Regina King, If Beale Street Could Talk, as Sharon Rivers, Emma Stone in The Favourite as Abigail Masham, Rachel Weisz in The Favourite as Sarah Churchill.
Yeah. So I went for Rachel Weisz just because I kind of recognised her name. And I did know about The Favourite, and I thought The Favourite was reviewed quite well, so I was like, yeah, maybe.
Oh, yes, I went for Marina de Tavera in Roma.
I was thinking about going for that. That was my second most likely one.
Yeah.
I changed my mind.
I just heard that she did really, really well. So I'm like, I think Roma's going to do well this year, so I was like, yeah, I'm going to pick that. That was my logic. Okay, so on to Best Supporting Actor. We've got Mahershala Ali in Green Book as Don Shirley, Adam Driver in Black Klansman as Philip Zimmerman, Sam Elliott in A Star Is Born as Bobby Main, Richard E. Grant, Can You Ever Forgive Me as Jack Hawk, and Sam Rockwell in Vice as George W. Bush. I went for Sam Elliott in A Star Is Born as Bobby Main, because I don't think A Star Is Born is going to do too well in other categories.
Yeah.
And Sam Elliott he's quite old and he's never won an Oscar, so this will be a nice thing for him, to get his due, basically.
Okay. For some reason, I went for Adam Driver.
No, Adam Driver's really good in Black Klansman.
Yeah, that's what I think I remembered hearing that, so I just thought,
Yeah.
I feel like, they'll feel sorry for him. They feel sorry for him because everyone hates the Star Wars sequels, even though he's the best part of it, so
yeah,
that's why they're going to give it to him.
Sam Rockwell, by the way, obviously won it last year, so he's not going to win it this year as George W. Bush. And Mahershala Ali, I think, also won it like a couple of years ago for Moonlight.
Yeah, he won it for Moonlight, yeah.
So I doubt he's going to win it again. So I think it's either Adam Driver or Sam Elliott. I went for Sam Elliott, but I'd like it if Adam Driver did win. Anyway, on to Best Actress. We got Yalitza Aparicio in Roma as Cleo DeGeneres, Cleo Gutierrez. Glenn Close as the wife. Sorry, not as the wife. She's in The Wife as Joan Castleman. Olivia Colman in The Favourite as Anne, Queen of Great Britain. Lady Gaga, A Star Is Born as Annie May. Melissa McCarthy in Can You Ever Forgive Me as Lee Israel. So, Michael, who did you go for?
I was really thinking about Melissa McCarthy just for the sake of it, but I went for Glenn Close because I recognised her name.
Okay, I went for Olivia Colman in The Favourite because this seems like she's been getting a lot of buzz about this. People really like Olivia Colman, and it seems like this is her time to shine. It seems like she's going to win.
Was your best supporting actress from The Favourite too?
No, it was from Roma.
My best supporting actress is from The Favourite.
I
think that's right. Yeah.
Yeah. Great advice. She has to compete with Emma Stone though.
Yeah, it's going to be.
So
I just thought Emma Stone wasn't going to win it. Oh, sorry, I went for Glenn Close.
Right. Yeah. No, Emma Stone won't win it. Right. Anyway, moving on to Best Actor, we've got Christian Bale, Vice as Dick Cheney, Bradley Cooper in A Star Is Born as Jackson Jack Maine, William Dafoe at Eternity's Gate as Vincent Van Gogh, Rami Malek in Bohemian Rhapsody as Freddie Mercury, Viggo Mortensen, Green Book as Frankie Tony Lip Vala Longa. There we go. So it's me. This is my lock of the week, Michael. Christian Bale as Dick Cheney in Vice is my lock of the week.
Okay, maybe I should have made it my lock of the week because I also went for Christian Bale as Dick Cheney in Vice, and maybe that's even more likely than First Reformed to be getting Best Original Screenplay. It's hard to tell.
So Bradley Cooper isn't going to win for A Star Is Born. William Dafoe after Eternity's Gate, that'll be a long shot. Rami Malek might win it for Bohemian Rhapsody, but just because the movie's that bad, I don't think so. And Viggo Mortensen as Green Book, that movie's got a bit of backlash, so probably not. So I think it's between Christian Bale probably and Rami Malek, but the fact that Christian Bale just transformed his body, it was incredible, and he gave a really good performance as well. It's going to be him.
He's going to win.
It's going to be him.
That's exactly why it's my lock of the week.
And second to last, Best Director, Spike Lee for Black Klansman, Powell Pawlikowski for Cold War, Yorgos Lanthimos, The Favourite, Alfonso Cuarón, Roma, Adam McKay, Vice. Who did you go for?
I went for Spike Lee.
Oh, Spike Lee. Yeah, I'd like it if Spike Lee won.
Yeah. But
I think it will be Alfonso Cuarón for Roma.
Yeah, I just felt like that was cheating because he's already got Best Cinematography,
Well, that's the thing, like, Guillermo del Toro last year, he won both for both Best Picture and Best Director, so judging by that, it does seem like it's a combination thing.
Maybe you're right, yeah.
And
I don't know, we'll see.
Well, my Best Picture winner is also Roma, so that informed my Best Director thing. And obviously, Alfonso Cuarón, the story of Roma is, it's not like Vice or The Favourite or Black Klansman, where it's been, it's been picked up by, obviously Vice is based on true story, Dick Cheney, The Favourite, again, based on a real queen, and Black Klansman based on real events. Roma is it's semi-biographical, I think, but it's more original. So, like, if Best Director, like, informing the story, I think they'll go for that guy.
Yeah.
Alfonso Cuarón. Anyway, Best Picture. So the nominees are Black Panther, Black Klansman. A lot of blacks in this one, aren't there?
Yeah.
Yeah. Bohemian Rhapsody, The Favourites, Green Book, Roma, Star is Born, and Vice. And like I said, I'm going to go for Roma.
And that's your lock of the week.
No, this is my shoe-in.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I'm also going for Roma. So again, like both times that you've has made it guaranteed, I've agreed with you, which is annoying. Although I guess actually it makes it more interesting because it means, I don't know, whatever. Anyway, yeah, I agree. Yeah, best picture, Roma. Although my real lock of the week, of course, is Black Panther. So it's like I say, we all know that's it. They're going to make Black Panther the best picture. Everyone knows that.
If Black Panther wins Best Picture, we're going to have a hell of an interesting podcast next week.
It would be so much fun.
Because the thing is, I didn't time it for the Oscars. I timed it because of Captain Marvel, which is coming out soon. That's why we're going to be doing Black Panther. But if Black Panther wins the Oscar for Best Picture and we're reviewing it next, that'll be hilarious. But it's not going to win it. It's probably got like the 6th best chance of winning out of the 8. I think the only 2 which have got a worse chance are Bohemian Rhapsody and Vice. That's what I'd say.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. Anyway, that is it. Those are our Oscar predictions. We'll see on Thursday. I think we got a few similar, but I was worried we'd get a lot more similar, but we actually have got quite a few differences, which is good.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah. As long as I'm right about all the ones where we're different.
Right, okay, I see. So anyway, yeah, that's it, Michael. Shall we wrap up?
Yeah,
okay.
Let's wrap up.
So, yeah, thank you for listening to our review of The Shape of Water and our Oscar predictions. Join us next week when we will be selecting and reflecting on the 2019 Best Picture winner, Black Panther. Who have you been, Michael?
I've been Michael.
And I've been Luke. And join us next week. Goodbye.
Goodbye.